Okay, awesome. So anybody that's new here, Kevin, I noticed I think this is your first week here. I'm just going to go over how I do the training schedules every month. So the first and third Thursday of every month is going to be CRM basics and training. So I'm going to be going over like the CRM, like super basic stuff, like how to create a contact, how to create a workflow, how to add notes, how to add tasks. It'll be the same on the first and third Thursday of every month. So that way loan officers can ask questions about the CRM. Second Thursday of every month, I have a guest speaker on. So this could be a coach, this could be a mortgage platform, this could be just something cool that someone's doing. It might be a top loan officer. I have Ben, I'll introduce him in just a second, Ben Green on this one. And then the fourth Thursday of every month, I'm trying to release a new feature for the package. So that way you guys are getting something new every month that I'm doing for you. And then just a couple of things for support really quick, because some people didn't know about this. If you're ever curious what I do on the digital loan officer package for you, if you go to hopadigital.com, you go to resources and you go to package features and examples, I actually do a super in-depth recording of how I help you with the marketing and what it looks like. So if you want to do, let's say, like more Google reviews, right? Click on the video and then I have it explaining how I help with your Google reviews. It's super in-depth. I also have written content about it. And then the nice thing about being on the digital loan officer package, all you need to do, which I'm trying to do for everybody, is just, hey, Devin, I want to start doing Google reviews and I'll set it up for you. So that's where you find like super in-depth what I offer inside of the package. I also have a ton of go high level trainings. I'm constantly adding to that. Same with the package features and examples. So you can find that by going to resources and go high level trainings. And that's right there. And then if you ever need something, just email me or text me. I try to get back pretty quick. And then let's get started with the training. So it's the second Thursday of this month. I have Ben Green on here. I actually met Ben a few years ago from another company, and he lives in Utah in St. George. So he's like 4 hours away from me. Ben's an awesome guy, super nice dude. I thought it'd be really good to have him train us on just some different coaching stuff. So this is the second Thursday. So we're doing a guest spotlight, which will be Ben. Ben, the floor is yours. It's recording and we're excited to hear from you.
Oh my goodness, I'm here to learn too. So thanks for having me. And I've got my notebook out. So anyone that can help me at whatever it is I do for a living, it would be much appreciated. But certainly glad to be here. As Devin shared, we've kind of bounced around in the same circle for a few years and getting to know each other a little bit more now, which is certainly a privilege on my end. I am in St. George, Utah. I did live in the Salt Lake area for a long time when I was kind of re-getting into the mortgage industry. And so my background is I did originate loans at a very poor level heading into the mortgage crash. I was with a very successful mortgage team. I think I would have rated pretty low in terms of productivity and overall success on that team, but it was at least nice to be around some wonderful top producers and mortgage leaders heading into the crash. I got out at that time, went back to grad school and kind of wanted to take my career in a different direction. And on the other side of grad school, was afforded the opportunity to launch both a recruiting department and a career development program for Academy Mortgage. I had moved to Salt Lake by this point in time. And so it was kind of a neat opportunity to be in the same industry that I had already, established some connections in, seen a tiny bit of success in, but do it in a more corporate fashion, I guess, if you will. I got to, help a lot of folks into the mortgage industry during that time. I did some college recruiting on the campuses in Utah. I also, was able to bring folks from around the country out of college into Salt Lake, house them for summer licensing and training programs, and then send them back out into different markets in mentorship relationships across the industry, and to see them 10, 12, I guess in one case, 14 years into the industry, is probably what I'm most proud of in terms of, my contribution to mortgage, to again see 21, 22-year-old kids that I met in a business or an entrepreneurship class, showing well for their companies, a couple of them now being sales managers themselves, is pretty neat. Got to be a part of a couple acquisitions during that time as well, which kind of piqued my interest into some of the other strategic partnerships that I felt I could contribute with. After the time at Academy, I did get the chance to lead a little bit of a larger group at Movement Mortgage, a team of 15 recruiters during what was a pretty significant chapter in their growth history, kind of in the late 2010s, be a part of the Eagle Home Mortgage acquisition, which really spearheaded their growth specifically out west. And then most recently, before going out on my own, was with a company called Synergy One Lending, which was recently acquired by American Pacific Mortgage. I was with Synergy One during the time that we went through a management buyout from Mutual of Omaha. So we got to take the company private during that period of time, got to be a small stakeholder in the organization, see the company grow, have some good times, have some less good times, as we've all experienced in mortgage over the last 4 years. But again, it's all about learning and exposure to new experience. And I certainly had my share of that at Synergy One. About 3 years ago, in fact, 3 years ago next month, I exited the corporate space to get into independent business development myself. And I did so through a partnership with my longtime leadership coach, a gentleman by the name of Dave Richards. Dave was a senior leader for Wells Fargo Home Mortgage for a long time, ran a large group for OnQ Financial for a number of years, and then launched his executive leadership coaching company in 2019. So I was actually first a friend of his, then a client of his, as he was helping me become a better leader, which he still does to this day. Now a partner of his over the last 3 years. He works with some of the largest title companies, some of the top producing joint ventures between real estate teams and loan officer teams in the industry. And so, very privileged to be a part of his group. And so, yeah, that's, kind of my Cliff Notes story that led me here. I'm very eager to talk about, what networking has meant to my career, some of the tips and tricks that I have picked up along the way that are, hopefully going to be useful to you continuing to grow your businesses. But, also want to take a breath real quick and see if, I can get at least one or two of you to raise your hand and kind of share what led you to being on this call today, and give me a little bit of context so I can start whatever it is I'm going to chat about next. How did I do, Devin? Is that an appropriate introduction? Did I go long, short?
No,
Should I have put more makeup on? What could I have done better? I'm always looking for guidance.
No, it's great. I don't know if anybody will raise their hands because I just have guest lights on the second Thursday. So they're just coming to learn. So they might not have questions till you get started.
Yep.
Yeah. They just kind of attend weekly. So whatever you can.
Got it. I just always enjoy the chance to get to know folks. So if there's any participation or questions or experiences that you can share along the way, it's always a privilege. Some of what I again alluded to wanting to talk to with you guys about today is just the really tiny tips and tricks of networking that, in my experience, can take your growth, your opportunity at new relationships, from what can feel like a relatively flat line over an extended period of time that does admittedly get, frustrating. Is this working? Is this not working? And give you the opportunity to have a significantly more dramatic trajectory in how those new relationships will grow your business. And when I talk about, tiny little tips and tricks, I mean things like Probably the most impactful advice I've ever been given in my mortgage recruiting career was when you interrupt someone's day with a cold call, whether you're calling a realtor, whether you're calling a builder, title agent, in my case, loan officers, ask for 90 seconds versus asking for a few minutes. Now, why would we do that when, it kind of feels like 6 in one, half dozen in the other? There's quite a bit of science behind a human being accepting of giving away seconds of their day, knowing that they were interrupted, they had something else they were trying to achieve at that point in time. But if you ask for that few minutes, now you're looking at a point of like, what do you mean a few minutes? I have a meeting that I just finished, got another meeting at the top of the hour, no idea who you are or what you're calling about. I cannot afford to give that few minutes. The number of placements that I've made of, top producing President's Club originators over the last 15 years that began with that, may I have 90 seconds of your time, or I know I'm interrupting here, but do you have 90 seconds to spare? It always kind of ends up with being, okay, 90 seconds, you're on the clock. I'll make a little, self-depreciation, joke or comment about, hey, be sure to hang up on me when my time is up. I certainly don't want to overstep. And guess what? You're always going to have the same conversation you would have had they given you the chance asking for a few minutes. The only difference is they probably wouldn't have given you the chance had you asked for a few minutes. So those calls don't go for 90 seconds in most cases, right? They're going to go 5 minutes. Sometimes they'll go an hour. But point being is you got a yes instead of a no, and you didn't have to do it through some sort of hard sell, some sort of trick. This is very much in contrast to what a lot of the sales coaching has taught through the years. And so maybe I am a little bit of a contrarian by nature, but it's mostly just because I feel like I'm in the work doing the blue collar stuff like you guys are each day. And so, it's not about a textbook that you learned, in your undergraduate program. It's what's working today and how can I be a little bit better at it tomorrow. And when I compare that against, I went through a lot of Zenix training, and I'm sure some of you may have been experienced with Zenix through the years. I have a lot of respect for Casey and Rob. I don't mean to put them, kind of in the I wouldn't do that camp, especially with them not being here to defend themselves. But their sales coaching would be to never give your last name. When you leave a voicemail, do not give the reason for your call, because your whole purpose is to try and get somebody on the phone for you to then win them over, even if it was a little bit deceitful in how you got them on the phone. I just prefer personally to, if I'm going to leave a voicemail, let somebody know exactly what I'm calling about. Guess what, by the way, I get like no responses to voicemails, none, because people are not interested in talking to a stranger about changing jobs, it turns out. And that's okay. It does not hurt my feelings, but at least they know the reason for the call. And so on the 1 out of every 200 return voicemails that I get, it's a conversation they signed up for and ends up going somewhere. And that is something that not only do I feel like, I'm not wasting their time, they're not wasting my time. I'm also just able to sleep a little bit better at night, right? Because I stood by who I am and what I do, and the right people responded to it, and I felt better about that. So that would be, some of the experience that I would share in, how do you get somebody on the phone, and then how do you introduce yourself when you are on the phone. They at Zenix would again advise you to start asking about their business before you tell them about your business. And for me, while I am eager to learn about everyone else's businesses, they should get the chance to know who's asking, right? And so those are just some important points that I would lead into that trajectory of, again, you're just going to make the same calls right here, whether it's 10 a week, whether it's 50 a week, in my case, maybe 150 a week, but you're just going to have such deeper relationships over a period of time. And I think what we're experiencing in the market, certainly in my seat, and I would venture to guess in yours as well, that those that are growing right now are doing so through deeper relationships, not more one-off relationships. Right. This is why a lot of folks are being more drawn to builder partnerships. A lot of folks are exploring different company arrangements that might be more set up for being a part of partnerships that you can grow 5 or 10 units a month out of versus get 1 unit from 5 or 10 more people a month. And so I do spend a lot of time thinking, how can I start this brand new friendship, which may or may not ever turn into anything, in a position where I'm creating trust with them right out of the gate, in hopes that one day it can be a deep, passionate, impactful relationship. It's for that same reason that I've always spent a lot of time researching before I make calls. And when I say researching, I don't mean their dogs' names on Facebook. You'll hear a lot about that, and I have no reason to think that wouldn't matter as well. But my type of research is going into MMI or Redder or whatever our tools might be, and learning about their unit trajectory over the last 3 years, trying to establish a pattern of, are they working in different counties? Are they seeing more Govy business over the last 12 months or something like that? That's a really important part of, are they seeing success and what comes next in the growth of their business? And therefore, if I'm going to put that amount of research in, I'm going to make less calls, but I am going to have those calls turn into more business over time. When I bring recruiters on, whether it be to my independent team, whether it be when I was leading corporate teams, I had the good fortune of being able to say, hang in there with me. It's going to be painful. You're going to wonder if any of this stuff really makes a difference out of the gate. But 15 years in a row, I've made more money than I did the year before. That's across 3 companies, and now being an independent. I feel like, that's reason to believe that this approach is something I can stand on, right? 15 years across a number of different platforms of just believing in, this is how you start new relationships the right way, build trust, ask questions, and have it turn into business that they're appreciative of over a long period of time. The next piece on that I kind of want to get into is, all right, so we know when we make these calls, we're going to have done our research. We're going to have gotten to know these prospective realtor partners that we're interested in introducing ourselves to. When do we make the calls? There's also a lot of science behind this, right? And so if you were to look at your weekly calendar, and you would kind of think, gosh, do I want to get this out of the way because it's not my favorite part of the week? Do I want to over prepare and get everything else out of the way so I can feel like I have the most clear mind before I make these calls? What is the science behind when people are going to pick up, and what sort of conversations are you going to have when they pick up? For starters, how do we think Monday morning is going to do? Not good, right? So let's just scratch Monday morning and Friday afternoon off without even having to explain why. I think we all know. People spend the weekends getting ready for their weeks, not getting ready for your interruption. Same thing, Friday afternoon, they're winding down, right? So we know that. Let's look at the rest of the windows and figure out when we can do best with them. Well, the science will tell you, you are going to have more shorter conversations on Tuesdays. Then you're going to have a medium amount of slightly longer conversations on Wednesday. And then you're going to have your deep relationships, deep conversations, 30, 60, sometimes longer conversations with people that are really in a place that they can stop and get to know you on Thursdays. So if we're going to talk about, when are we going to make what calls, we are going to make those really short. I'm not trying to get too much out of this, but I am just trying to put myself on your radar on Tuesdays. So I'm going to get through more calls. It's going to feel like I achieve less, but I'm now into the cycle of, having some sort of interaction with that person, or at least attempting to, and getting outreach into them. Wednesdays, I'm going to start to look at folks that I may have had that brief conversation with on a Tuesday, a month or two previous, whatever your cycle might be. And then Thursdays are going to be your conversations where folks that have already sent you some business before, and you'd like to explore what led them to that, what might their goals for their next year look like, and see if there's a place for you to step in and be a stronger, more solidified partner with them. But you're trying to have the meat and potatoes conversations on Thursday. So again, I think if you look at like core coaching or sales mastery and things like that, not to knock anything that Rick or Todd or plenty of others, like I said about Casey, have built, but it's very it's very, same activity, different day. And it's more just about, did you achieve your metrics for the week? I'm really going to ask you to explore what are the nuances day by day. It's not 150 calls a week. It's not 30 calls a day. It's 0 calls on Monday, 50 calls on Tuesday, 40 on Wednesday, 30 on Thursday, maybe a couple follow-ups from voicemails Friday morning, having my research done on Mondays, having my cleanup work done on Fridays, and really making sure that what I'm hoping to get out of those calls matches those expectations on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This will be a big time game changer. If you see someone that has, referred you business over the last 5 years very selectively, and you're just thinking, I know there's more in that relationship, I'm asking you to not call that person at lunch on Tuesday. I really am. I really genuinely think that it's important that you plug that call in for 2:45 on Thursday afternoon. I think that those are the sort of tiny nuances that take you from, 2 units a year in that partnership to preferred partnership with them, because you caught them in a mental space where they are just going to open themselves up to you, and you're going to all of a sudden have a trusting, deeper relationship. So I mentioned 2:45 in the afternoon there. Let's talk about, times of the day to now kind of pair how many seconds versus minutes we're asking for, what day we're calling on. Well, as you can imagine, again, kind of some common sense, but plenty of science that goes into it. We tend to kind of stack our mornings, and we tend to give ourselves a little bit more free mental space in the afternoons. And so you are going to have a more receptive audience in the afternoons. On top of that, when do most people start their meetings? They start their meetings at the top of the hour. And so we typically schedule those for 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. If we schedule them for an hour, in a lot of cases, we expect that they'll finish before the end of the hour, because we have something else starting at the top of the next hour. And so we're just blocking that off, knowing we'll have 10 minutes to check our phones in between meetings, right? So now we're looking at, we want to make our most impactful calls where we are really trying to get someone to answer that we think is the right sort of person to answer, that we can really deepen a relationship with, that last 15 minutes of the afternoon hour. So 1:45, 2:45, 3:45. I typically do not make calls after 4:30. I make calls from the East Coast all the way out to Hawaii. I space my days to where once it hits 4:30, I'm very respectful of people's family lives, and I move on to the next time zone. plenty of people are in your partnerships, your local communities are taking these sort of calls until 8 at night. I'm not asking you to turn down those opportunities. I'm just saying, again, especially when you're newer in that relationship where you are asking for their grace, trust, learning about them, probably do so before 4:30, because again, the end of the workday is technically 5, but people let themselves get there a little bit early. So 1:45, 2:45, 3:45 afternoons on Thursdays, you can take your business to the next level, and then probably another 2 or 3 beyond that if you decide that is when I'm going to make my mark in my new relationships. If you were to go look at my calendar on Thursday afternoons for the last 10 years, you would see almost nothing that I didn't absolutely have to say yes to. Most cases, it would be because my wife said, you'll be there and you'll be smiling and you'll be your best version of yourself. If not, it would have been one of my bosses through the years. But aside from that, if I have any say in the matter, my Thursday afternoons are free for those sort of calls. And the significant chunk, north of 50% of my business, would come from relationships that went to the next level because of that mindset that you're going to find your audience in on Thursday afternoons. So, if there were any, major takeaway, going back to the tips and tricks, and we're doing the same activities just in a slightly different way. I know Devin's content and what he's built would be the same thing too, right? You can use the exact same tool slightly differently, and 5 years from now, and it sometimes does take a little while, but you're going to look back and say, oh my goodness, it was the tiniest tweak, but you stayed true to it. Devin's got Atomic Habits behind his right shoulder. I think I've got it somewhere hiding back here too. I know we get sick of seeing those sort of things because we all kind of know it, but look, this stuff matters. And if if I were to ask a favor for the growth of your business, I would say build into your Atomic Habits, asking for seconds versus minutes, thinking about, am I making the calls that I expect to be the most meaningful to my business on Thursday afternoons versus Monday mornings? Even though you're excited to achieve that on a Monday morning, position yourself in the shoes of the other person and know that that's when they're going to be in that mindset to be receptive to your message. And if you really want to take it to the next level, try and focus on doing it the last 15 minutes of a Thursday afternoon call. That's kind of my main content that I wanted to get to. If it's okay to open it up for any questions. Again, I know you guys probably have a bunch of other things going on, and I don't want to take away from Devin's format, but same thing, I need to come up for air a little bit, and then we can also kind of talk about team building and mentorship and some of those things that I think are important as well. Any questions on some of that weekly planning content, or does anyone want to tell me that's foolish? I've seen it work the exact opposite way, and nice try, kid. Anything like that?
Ben, I got a question for you. So
Yeah,
we
bring it
work with a
on.
lot of loan officers, and my loan officers are trying to build more realtor relationships or grow their current realtor relationships. For those Tuesday calls, when they're calling new realtors, asking for the 90 seconds, what do you typically see these LOs doing to like introduce themselves for the first time to realtors that don't know them?
Yeah, I think that it's a little bit heavy-handed, especially in a brand new relationship, to hit them with a whole bunch of information about themselves. Now, again, here he is saying, do all this research on Monday, but I like to operate in what I call kind of a counterpuncher's mentality. And what I mean by that is I kind of what's the word I'm looking for? All the work that you put in, you internalize. That's what I was going for. And so you have it inside of you and you know it. However, you don't come out swinging with it. I've never found in my career that people love to be told a whole bunch of things about themselves by somebody that they think it's a little weird, knows a whole bunch about themselves, right? So you can be ready to acknowledge you may have heard that about them, or something about their business also stood out to something about your business. Just don't come out swinging would be my guidance on those introductory calls. Just say, hey, it looks like you do really well at XYZ. I happen to be in the same market. Don't think we've had our paths cross yet. I'm hoping I may have caught you when you had 90 seconds for me to just learn a little bit about what's led you to this level of success in your business and what you see on the horizon for the next 12 months. I had no other objective other than to ask that question. If you have the time, would be really fun to learn about your successes as well as what you have on the horizon. People enjoy talking about I shouldn't say enjoy, although it's true, but people are a little more comfortable talking about what has already happened versus sharing what they're planning to do, again, with somebody they don't know terribly well yet. So ask them how they got to where they are today, whether it be, hey, what brokerage do you work for? I'm curious, is that a friend? Is that somebody you were introduced to through a networking engagement? How did you end up working for Coldwell, for KW, for something more local? People like to tell those stories, and guess what? It will tell you what their process is for making those decisions in the future. I see that you've worked with somebody that works at another mortgage company. It looks like you've seen a lot of success. I like to learn how those relationships began. Again, same thing. Did you go to school together? Did your title agency introduce you? Were you a listing agent on someone that they came in and did a loan for, and you guys just liked to do it? Ask them about what's already happened. It's factual. They know the story behind that. They don't feel like they're giving away any secrets to it. And that will lead you to knowing what their decision-making process is for that same scenario, which you are going to want to be a part of because you want to be their next great business partner, without having to lead with, how would you consider making a new mortgage relationship? I'm a mortgage person. I would like to know how you would do that in the future. Well, they know what you're asking at that point in time, right? So don't put them in that position quite yet, would be my guidance. So again, you're asking questions about how they got to where they are. It's a little easier when talking to a new business relationship to talk about what has already happened versus what your plans might be moving forward. We'll get to that as the relationship comes along. Is that kind of what you were going for there?
Yeah, one thing, I don't know if you've seen this or Ella's doing this, but I've been having more of my loan officers, when they reach out to agents, ask them to jump on like a Google Meet or a Zoom call to do a podcast. I don't know if you've seen any of your LOs do that, but it's been working really well because you're providing value right off the bat, and then you're giving them content. And then we know this, but agents like love to share their stories, like you mentioned, like what's happened to get them to where they at. Have you seen anything like that with your LOs that you're working with?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes into that same mentality of one, research, and two, them talking more about what's already happened versus what they have coming next. We can be ready for that through, seeing what they may have already been a part of on social, seeing if they've already been a part of some sort of community meet or podcast. Those are fun ways to get to know somebody before you get to know them. So you should certainly, as a part of that research, have an idea of how they like to express themselves, would be, one way to put it. Are they terribly social online? And then set yourself up to have them be the expert. You can tell pretty easily, right? If someone uses AI in their in their creative online, for instance, right? So if it appears that they do that, have that be something that you want to ask them about. It looks like this is something that you're an expert at. I am not an expert at that. I would like to eventually get a little better at that. It's a practice of mine to go to the experts and learn about how they became experts, right? All of a sudden, you are setting them up to be proud of something that they've done, to talk about their business in a way that is going to help you to get to know them. Again, it's a little bit of that self-depreciative humor that is, if we go back to the science, it is the strongest trust building exercise in a conversation, to make somebody else the expert and to make yourself not come across like you're lucky to know me. Tease yourself, laugh about something that you've done. This is where, again, going back to my cold calls, hey, hang up on me. I'm just a knucklehead kid. If my voice cracks, hey, I've only been doing this 15 years, so forgive me that I still get nervous doing it for a living. The next thing you know, people just find you a little bit more likable, and they're sharing a little bit more about their business, and then you're off and running. So if you can set them up to be the expert and set yourself up to be somebody that is inquisitive and hoping to learn from that relationship versus all of a sudden do something for that relationship, that's going to go a long way. I even started wearing this ready to learn band that I stole from my fourth grader. Started fourth grade today. She got a ready to learn wristband. Now, I'm sure some of you have had fourth graders or have fourth graders, and they already know everything, so they do not need to be ready to learn. But I decided I gotta have just one more reminder that every conversation is about learning. I was sincere when I said it at the start of this call. There is stuff that I enjoy sharing. Hopefully it's of value, but it's way more enjoyable to learn. And all of a sudden it just helps you be working with the people that you're supposed to work with. And then you look back years later and realize, holy smokes, it turned into deeper relationships, more business, more success, more able to give back. I think ends up, kind of being a significant part of why I do what I do is, it frees up time to do the things that, help build communities and whatnot, but we can talk about that another day too. So, just getting a chance to learn from the people that have been kind enough, gracious enough to give you that 90 seconds that then turned into 10 minutes. If there's anything you can do with that, it would be to learn from them, to position them to be the expert, and to ask questions, and then have all the research that you put into that be ready to insert, but not smack them with right out of the gate. If there's another kind of catchphrase that I could recommend thinking about when you're going through these activities, it would be, I like to be covert with how I share ways that I might be able to be worthy of having in their network, being over versus overt. So covert versus overt allows them to come to the conclusion versus you frying panning them with, you should do business with me. I see that you do 10 units a month. My referral partners average 20. Odds are, if you did business with me, I could double your business. That's too overt. That almost comes across like you're criticizing them for not being where you want them to be as a partner right out of the gate, right? So ask them, it looks like you're doing 10 units a year. That's wonderful. Do you mind if I ask, are you at a point in your career? Are you at the chapter in your story where you see yourself shooting for 15 next year? Oh, cool. You are. Most are, right? If we can do 10, we can do 15. We make a little more money. It's not changing our life too dramatically, having to work until 2 a.m. or anything like that. So yeah, I'll take an extra 5 units. That's awesome. Where do you see those 5 units coming from? Do you work with any subdivisions that are, planning expansions? Do you, have kind of a niche product, modular home, whatever it might be that you see yourself kind of getting a chance to make a difference in our community with? Oh, cool. As it turns out, that's something that my mortgage company does very well. I'm again interrupting your day, so I'm not asking you to learn all about it right now. But if it's worth anything to you and you want to catch up for a little bit more time on a Thursday or bump into each other at Starbucks sometime, be cool to share in case it's worth anything to you, right? It's a little bit more of a covert way of saying, I might have what you need to get to that number versus just saying, hey, if you're doing 10 and you want to do 20, you'd be wise to ask me how my other agents do 20 so that you can then get a chance to be cool like them too, right? So same goal, same content, very different feel to it. If you'll just kind of remind yourself, I want to be covert, I want to be a counterpuncher, I want to do this on their terms, not on what I set out to achieve in this new relationship. This is so fun to talk about. I don't know if anyone's gonna take anything from this or not, but I have to just say again, like I love this stuff. I have not had the chance to remind myself of a few of these things in a number of months, and so if anything, I feel like I'm going to have a really good Thursday afternoon from this, and so I'm grateful to you guys for letting me kind of warm up my vocal cords so that I can hopefully go make a difference this afternoon. I didn't get a chance to say at the start, but for what it's worth, part of the reason I went independent was I did want to get a chance to work with a whole bunch of different type of clients. And I'm assuming that there are folks on this call that are kind of more in the broker space, some that might be independent mortgage bank, some that might be at an FDIC bank. I'm not sure the makeup of the group, but I did want to get a chance to share. For me, again, kind of neat that I now get to represent each of those types of organizations. If you're ever curious about learning the differences between them, I work with some top 10 IMBs and I work with some IMBs that you've never heard of. And really the theory behind it is just that we all, we got into independent mortgage banking or community real estate for the reason of being a little bit of an entrepreneur and doing things more on our terms. And we don't all want the same thing, it turns out. So, I think cross-country mortgage is wonderful. Good for them for gobbling up market share and being the number one lender in the industry. But it turns out not every single person wants to, build their local business on that platform. And so it's fun to be able to talk about all sorts of other ways that you can be successful in mortgage and real estate and joint ventures and things like that too. So I had failed to mention that early on, did want to bring that up just in case I can ever be a resource in terms of like what are the differences, the where the momentum is going, market by market. It's another neat thing of, kind of following the national scene is you'll see such different trends from Hawaii to the upper Midwest to South Florida. So, it's too oversimplified to say everyone's going bank or everyone's going broker or anything in between. It's such an individual decision. And so it's fun to be able to work with all these different great companies.
JR, I think you had a question. I saw you go off mute, and then I have some things I'll need to cover before we end. But JR, did you have something for Ben?
No, just really appreciate the content. I think that how you approach the market is good. I think the reminder and the takeaway for me here is that, and something to encourage my team on is I like the time of call. I think that's very a thoughtful approach. I think the number of calls made a week. I saw something else that came on my feed the other day, and it was like questioning each salesperson in the room, like, how many calls was your goal? What was your goal call this week? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it was, and then one guy was like 300. And then how many calls did you make? And it was like, oh, 296. And then one guy was like, oh, my goal call was 300. How many calls did you make? Oh, 600. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dang, man, like 600 people, like, how the heck do you do that? So when you said, it seemed like your goal call is about 150 a week is what you're shooting for. And
Yeah.
is that right?
As an independent, it's been a good goal to shoot for 150 because I'm not managing teams, so fewer one-on-ones and other sort of strategic planning for the organization. I would have been more like 75 while I was at Synergy One, and there were times at Movement with a larger team where I was lucky to make my own cold calls, which is honestly part of the reason I left Movement. Was I just kind of wanted to get back to being a little bit more of a personal producer, so to speak. But yeah, I think in an industry where so much is measured by volume, you can do the call exercise by volume too, right? You can say, well, if you expect your business partners to each be 3-unit a year producers, and you want to do 20 million in mortgage production this year, you're going to have to make a lot of calls because you're going to, get a hold of 25% of those people. You're going to become a partner for another 10% of that 25%. And then you just added 3 loans through a lot of energy to get there, right? I make my calls, not because I think one group is better than another, but I call $100 million producers. And, I've been told for a long time that, that they're not going to listen to a cold call recruiter. They have owners of companies calling them and telling them how wonderful they are and that sort of thing. So why would I be shooting for this audience? One, they're more intriguing to get to know because they've achieved this, tremendous success, and there's a lot of value to learn from asking them how they got there. But two, I don't have to make as many calls, and I do end up having as much success talking to a $100 million producer as I do a $5 million producer. It turns out after years of tracking it, it's a nearly identical conversion. So that would be perhaps another tip I would ask you to is, why are you putting all that work into a 2 or 3 unit a year referral partner unless it's important to you? Again, this is not to say one is better than the other. Some of you may have a really sincere passion of, I just love working with that audience, and if I help get them to 5 units and make a good friend out of it and enjoy what I'm doing for a living, then that is exactly what I want to do. So by all means, follow your passion on that front. However, be willing to challenge yourself in the terms of, if you do want to be a 30, 40, $50 million producer, and that is a ways out on the horizon for you, and you are in a lot of prospecting of new relationships right now, why not call the producers on the real estate side or the builder side that can really get you there, right? I would assume if you want to double your business, you'd rather do it in 6 months than 6 years. So mathematically, that means you need to prospect higher volume real estate and builder partners. And guess what? Then you don't have to make those 600 calls either. Get good at the craft and call where the volume is, and you will get there faster while also not having to do, 600 cold calls, which nobody likes to do. I know people that do 600 cold calls a week. They don't strike me as terribly happy that that's what they're doing. So,
hey, Ben, real quick. So
why do it? Now, if you're going to do 100,
Ben, ATR has something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah. So Ben, real quick.
Yep.
You're an independent.
Yep.
You're calling top producer agents or loan officers?
For the most part, loan officers. When I'm doing business,
and I'm sorry, are you calling them for business, or are you recruiting them as an independent?
Recruiting them as an independent is probably 95% of my business right
Okay.
now. I'm a part of a couple M&As on the IMB space right now, so I am spending some time, putting some strategic partnerships together, which is very exciting. And when I do business development prospecting, it's typically large builders that companies have asked me to engage on their behalf. And so I'm not doing a lot of real estate prospecting anymore. I have done so in the past. I've led teams that do real estate prospecting on behalf of the loan officers at the companies that I work with. But right now, if I'm not calling to recruit loan officers or companies, I'm typically calling regional builders on behalf of companies to try and set up those sort of chunk opportunity partnerships.
Got you. Thanks.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
Ben, I gotta end there. Could you, if people want to like talk to you about just tips with cold calling, or like where's the best place to find you? Then I just gotta cover a couple.
So LinkedIn, Ben Green, Elite Performance Associates. I spend too much time on LinkedIn. Just ask my kids, but I'm also going to see if I can figure out how to just drop my email into the chat as well.
And while he's doing that, just for anybody that's new, again, just a quick reminder, first and third Thursday of every month is CRM training and basics. Second Thursday of every month is I'm going to have a coach on a mortgage product or a mortgage platform or a high producer. If you guys have any referrals for that, let me know. And then fourth Thursday of every month, I'm releasing a new feature that I'm doing for you guys. And then just one more thing. If you want to look at the in-depth features that I do for LOs, I put the link in there. I also put the in-depth go high-level trainings. But Ben, I'll let you end us, and then I'll stop the recording. We'll be good to go.
Yeah, just super grateful. Hope I get the chance to get to know each of you a little bit more. If anything, I hope also, maybe you tuned me out early and were really productive with your time. If that's what you needed to do as well, I'm rooting for everyone on this call. If there's anything I can do to help educate you about companies that are out there, introduce you to, sales coaches that I work with, anything at all. I just enjoy networking in the industry, and I'm very grateful that Devin gave me the opportunity to meet you all. So thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Devin.